regular group outing in the Frozen Tower had a twist of events when suddenly a friendly ogre turned on his companions, fighting for their lives trying to fend off their friend that ultimately led to the death of one of his companions. How does such a thing happen? Why would he do this? Is he really that evil? This is the story of how Zethin attacked and killed his group mate Throttle Slover while fighting a ghostly scholar. As with all stories, it has to begin somewhere. Today's story begins with a long journey. Our ogre was camped at the Centaur stables in the southern plains of Karana, of which he had to completely cross to get to Lake Rathater. Once in Lake Rathater, our ogre had to swim across the lake to the Wrath Mountains. After making the swim, he traveled the pathways through the mountains and eventually made it to Feyerot. Zoning into Feyerot, our ogre friend makes a beeline for Ogok. Once in Ogok, our ogre needs to get to the bank to retrieve some plat to get a port to Iceclad Ocean. After getting his plat, our ogre heads back to Feyerot to the Druid Rings. And lastly, our ogre makes it to Iceclad Ocean and the Frozen Tower. None of this was on video because for some reason every time I zoned the game crashed and it took me between 15 and 20 minutes to log back on. It's the reason for this shitty map video and voiceover. However, it is homage to Digital Wasteland Gaming as I had just rewatched all of his shaman videos. You would think after that long journey, our video would end there, but it doesn't. We pick up with everyone inside the tower. We have Rivius the 31 Druid, Throttle Slover the 34 Enchanter, who is our good friend Campinkelric from our other videos, and Zethin the 32 Shaman. It's a very odd group, but for the most part it went well. Until our ogre turns on his friends. We see them medding and buffing up, getting ready to take out the key holder so we can make it to the next floor of the tower. Throttle Slover and I tried to take out the key holder but were unsuccessful and had to zone out. Luckily, Rivius had asked to join our little group. Him joining made things a lot easier as we had a healer dedicated to healing, sort of. Oh, let's not forget to mention the icy floor ahead of us. Luckily none of us slid into the hole with all the monsters down below. The placeholder is called a large undead knoll and it is a yellow con to Zethin. It's still strange to me to see an enchanter pulling. As I said earlier, luckily Rivius joined our little group for the heals and for thorns. Our ogre is doing the best he can to keep aggro. He's using slow and a dot. The others doing, well, whatever it is that they do when a shaman is face tanking a yellow con mob. As you will see, it takes us forever to take this monster down. This guy is smacking the snot out of me and I'm so close to dying that I offer up another option if this goes south. I tell them I can grab my level 45 necromancer to end the mob and leave the key for us to loot. I only brought that option up because I really did think this knoll was going to end us. Here in a little bit I get blinded with about 20% hit points and after our druid says he's out of mana. I am also just about out of mana. I was actually looking to see if I had enough mana for one heal. I don't. Anyone else finding it funny the way this artificial voice is saying mana? No, just me? Oh well. This fight seemed like it took nearly 30 minutes to finish him off. I actually tried adding this voice cut to the video earlier but it still didn't have enough filler to go through the entire fight scene. So I had to go back and put a bunch of nonsense in just so I could say we were victorious closer to the end of the fight, because my lazy ass didn't feel like making another video recording of this text-to-speech just to pull the audio out of it. I did end up making another cut with a bunch of filler but I only had to edit it the volume once instead of twice. Okay, so, I added the last section in and thought it was going to be enough talking to cover the entire fight but, no, it wasn't. I had to come back and make yet another filler section. I really have no idea what to say Here. I accidentally deleted the original text in the text-to-speech app, so I had to start a new one. So, I think it's a great time for shameless advertising of my own videos. I have a video series of my warrior, necro, and my druid if you are interested. Also, I'll just say thank you to any of you who have watched any of my videos and if you've subscribed. Also, if you could let me know if you would rather have more of this artificial voice stuff or if you would rather I talk over my videos as I am playing. I'm not sure which I like better at the moment, but this seems to flow easier when I do the voice to text. But at times you'll end up with these filler moments, I'd imagine. Also, when I'm home the voice to text is a lot easier when my lovely wife decides to say something as I'm recording a video. LOL. Oh, hey, look at that, we are victorious. Here Throttle Slover told us not to touch the Knoll's pet. It must have been being a good dog for her not to want us to end it. Apparently, you have to use end something now instead of the K word. /shrug. You know, YouTube tissue issues. Then the dog stopped being a good boy. I had to blur the text out because Throttle Slover used the K word in chat. It was at this moment she knew she had fudged up. Throttle Slover is saying she is rusty as a chanter. Well, if you have noticed, I keep checking how much mana my spells cost and I keep forgetting to buff up. I haven't played my shaman in months. I have gone into alcoholic mode. I am not making fun of alcoholics, I swear. This is something the EQ community uses to say you either have a problem figuring out what character you want to play, that you don't have the dedication to get one character to level 60, or that you need a break from your main character. Mine is a combination of all three, plus add in that I've only been playing for 8 months and soloed probably 80% of the time. I have no clue where to level up higher level characters. I have watched many YouTube videos on places I want to go, but my noob ass mostly sticks to outdoor areas because dungeons are a bad place to die. I have a 45 Necro, 39 Druid, 34 Dwarf Warrior, 32 Shaman, 22 Ogre Warrior, 20 Enchanter, 15 Cleric and an 11 Rogue. My alcoholism runs deep. You might be asking why I have 2 warriors? Well, while the barrel roll is the coolest thing since sliced bread, it doesn't do jack or shit for the survival of a character. So, I'm remaking my warrior as an ogre for the frontal stun immunity. I haven't deleted the dwarf warrior yet because I want to wait till my ogre is level 32 or higher, just in case camping cleric wants to do something. Let's set the scene for our final chapter. Our group has been ending monsters here on the 2nd floor for a few hours. We are ending ghostly scholars, students, the librarian, and her assistant. Everything was going great. Our ogre was being on his best behavior, dare I say, even a good boy. Once, he was charmed by one of the monsters, but no one in the group thought anything of it because it only lasted a few seconds. So, Throttle Slover goes and pulls a ghostly student. Everything is going as usual. Zethin is beating it down and beating it down and beating it down and beating it down and, yeah, more filler, beating it down, and okay, I'll stop. At some point I realize, hey, I'm an ogre and I forgot I have slam, misspelling forgot in game of course. I should use this to try and stop these guys from casting. LOL. Throttle Slover tells me I should try to slam from behind them because it has a better chance to stun. Hey. What a great idea, wish I had known sooner. As we are still beating down this ghostly student, Throttle Slover pulls a scholar. The student is at about 50% HP, we are doing just fine and she is setting us up for our next kill. She'd go pull and mez it so we didn't have to wait for the next mob. I mean, it's not like we were waxing the floor with these guys, but we were steadily killing them and breaking when we needed to. And, once this student goes down is when the fun began. As you can plainly see, our ogre gets distracted for a second by typing because the person controlling him is one of those uncoordinated people who have to look at the keyboard while typing. No, seriously, I am. If I don't, I end up with a million typos and no one understands anything I'm saying. Eventually, our ogre gets on the ghostly scholar. He's doing his very best to be a tank. He has done so this whole video. Slowing and dotting to the best of his ability. Pulling back when he's told to back off. Healing himself when Rivius runs low or out of mana. Sitting when the group needs to meditate. Buffing everyone. Being a productive member of society, you know? He hasn't eaten anyone, threatening to make a soup bowls out of their heads or even jelly out of their eyes. No, he has been a good boy, on his best behavior. Remember earlier, when I said that our ogre was charmed and no one thought anything of it because it only lasted a couple of seconds? Here is that scene. We all laughed about it. Throttle Slover mezzed our ogre and the scholar till the charm wore off. Then we all sat and meditated for a bit longer, laughing about the charmed ogre. Once the mez broke, we went right back to ending the scholar. Zethin goes back to tanking, but the scholar drops his hit points so low that he has to back off. When he would back off, Throttle Slover would mez so we could all rest up for a minute. Well, this time, this scholar charms our ogre and turns him into a havoc-wreaking cannonball. Deep down, inside, they all knew it was just a matter of time until the primal instincts of our ogre would kick in. Zethin takes all of his pent-up rage out on Throttle Slover, swinging his two-handed spiked club as fast as he could, casting spells on her faster than I have ever seen him cast. Honestly, I was impressed with his speed. Not only the speed that he moved, but the speed he swung his club and the speed at which he would cast spells. Throttle Slover did her very best to root and mez the scholar and Zethin, but he had finally snapped and had enough. Nothing was going to stop him. She tried to run around the corner, but Zethin just trailed her, swinging his club and continuing to cast on her. As you can see, as Throttle Slover is going to the ground, Rivius says to hell with this, nothing is going to stop him. I'm out of here, and gates out. Our ogre, still charmed by the scholar, ports back to the scholar following his new master. Like Anakin Skywalker, when he went to the dark side. Our ogre follows his version of Chancellor Palpatine to her spawn point, still enraged but thinking of why did he do this to his friends. Our ogre stands there worshipping his powerful new master. But just like the evil things, once they are done with their puppet they dismiss you. Once the charm spell breaks, our ogre tries to run as fast as he can to staging area. He sits down and tries to get a root spell on his spell bar, but he just didn't have enough time to do so. Zethin was ended by the scholar once his usefulness came to an end. Our ogre respawns where this story began, back at the stables in South Carolina. He respawns there because, as some of the more experienced players will know, because I didn't show it, the new biome forgot to bind an ice-clad ocean. I hope everyone who watched this enjoyed the story. I had a blast making it. I would like to thank Throttle Slover for getting us all together. I'd also like to thank Rivius for joining us and sticking with us after this disaster. We ended up going to the Crystal Caverns to finish the night off, where things went a lot more smooth other than my new bass getting lost every time Throttle Slover made a turn. But that's nothing new for me. As I mentioned before, I had just finished watching all, and I mean every single one of Digital Wasteland Gaming's videos before we began playing on this day. If you haven't seen his videos about the adventures of his shaman, go check them out. That'll end this video for today. As always, take care of yourselves and thank you for watching.